What's up guys, welcome back to my channel Anime Fiction. I'm back with a new episode of What If Naruto Was the Emperor of the Universe Part 6. And if you did enjoy the video, consider like it if you're new to my channel and like my content. Subscribe and hit the notification bell for more crossover fictions with a twist. Now let's begin this new video.
13th chapter. A crowd gathered in the parking lot as the two stepped out of the diner with much hoopla. People went berserk on their phones, drawing even more people to the modest spot. Some began filming and photographing with their phones. Naruto walked outdoors, his armor covering him. He preferred to don his armor while entering hostile or unknown territory. The conversation with Clark was going well, and his efforts were sowing seeds of change and cooperation. Fighting was entertaining, but he didn't want to get into a fight with nice people. "Can we do this somewhere else?" Clark suggested, remembering covering the Pokemon game's release and how these little critters were supposed to be disruptive. He found it amusing and entertaining. But there was also apprehension and uneasiness. In front of him, the Emperor had just created a beast. What was the upper bound of that power? "Relax, I've got everything under control," Naruto said as the ground trembled and everyone found themselves in a stadium. While the duo was in the center, the audience was seated and sheltered by a barrier. It wasn't a large battlefield, but it was adequate for a little display. "My lord, can we see a Groudon? Suicune, Mega Rayquaza, is a video game." "Mewtwo, Mew." The crowd was ecstatic and eager to see their beloved Pokemon. Naruto agreed, and other Pokemon appeared on the battlefield. The audience erupted with joy. "For now, a small treat, and I'll let the rest be a drive for you. Improve, and this world will enter a new era, and these creatures can be a part of it," Naruto said, smiling as all the creatures but two Pikachu vanished. Clark had a standard one. However, Naruto's Pikachu had a red ruby on his brow. Clark encountered numerous formidable animals, including Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina. Those entities possessed control over time, space, and black matter. It was really powerful and devastating, which was rather concerning. Emperor was able to produce without problem. "I didn't think you had the ability to create. Why don't you create powerful humans?" "I can't make human beings, only monsters. Humankind powers me, don't you think that would be too easy? I could increase my power indefinitely if that was possible." "I suppose you're right, that would be too easy," Clark said as he shifted his gaze to the side. He recognized several of his companions. When Flash heard the news, he dashed to his side. Batman was observing from a distance, but Hal was also there and sat with the audience for their safety. Supergirl became interested and decided to pay a visit. She was on the roof of an adjacent building, eating vanilla and chocolate ice cream. Naruto noticed them and waved back. Naruto hesitated for a while, looking at Kara, before returning to Clark. "Your family appears to have been blessed with good looks genes," Naruto added, finding Kara appealing in a variety of ways. Her physical look and aura had that rugged edge that he appreciated. Naruto sensed her anguish and loneliness. Kara, unlike Clark, had truly lived on Krypton with her family. She was intended to be older than him, but due to time travel, Clark was older and Kara was only 19. She had been on Earth for 2 years and still hadn't adjusted. Kara was unlike Clark in that she didn't care much about the environment or people. Humans were nothing more than another strange species to her. She was friends with Barbara, but it didn't affect her opinion on the rest of humanity, especially since they had repeatedly tried to take advantage of her. Kara had even attacked Clark several times and had to be restrained when she became enraged. She has attempted to assassinate Lex Luthor and other criminals on several occasions. As a result, she was disliked by the government troops as well. In that aspect, it was worse than Clark, and they had attacked her several times. Everything was out in the open, and some of it came from the minds of others. Naruto was not disturbed by her appearance and quickly pushed her to the back of his mind. He wasn't ready to be manipulative with such a character yet. Kara's issue was with her family and the Kryptonian. It wasn't impossible to bring them back to life, but Naruto would prefer to avoid that field for the time being. "What moves does my partner know?" Clark said, standing next to his Pikachu. He had a powerful memory and could retain whatever he had seen, thus he remembered Pikachu. "Thunder Shock, Thunderbolt, Thunder, Quick Attack, Agility, Iron Tail, Growl, Volt Tackle, Charge, Tackle, and Double Team. Do you want me to explain?" "No, I remember, the crowd applauded, since their hero also knew about Pokemon. It made him much more personable. Alright. Let's have a fun battle, Naruto said as he lightly caressed his Pikachu clone. His shadow clone evolved into the Pokemon. Naruto was aware of the creation skill possessed by the Sage of Six Paths, but he lacked it. Mastery of yin and yang, as well as the other major elements, was required for such arts. Yin and yang were not strong enough at the time, and the field was utterly new and strange. The only path forward would be to increase yin element mastery and summon the soul of the sage, or to learn from the Kyuubi. With those words, screens appeared on all sides, allowing the audience to see plainly. Fight! Naruto's Pikachu leapt from his shoulder and landed on the ground with that news. He barked and upped his speed, demonstrating agility. The presence of the red crystal increased the aggression of Naruto's Pokemon. Use quick attack, Clark said, as his teammate focused on Naruto's beast. The puppy-sized creature dashed forward at breakneck speed, disappearing from view for ordinary humans. They could see the little creature move through the screens. The Iron Tail, it was one of the anime's basic combos. However, Clark was unaware that Naruto used agility. Naruto communicated with his head, whereas Clark had to issue spoken directions. Ruby Pika stepped to the side and activated Iron Tail. Clark said, "Brace for impact, move back with the hit," and his Pika was smacked on the side, sending it flying. Use Thunderbolt, Clark said to escape being hit by his companion. Ruby utilized Charge and absorbed the lightning assault before charging out with a rapid attack while stockpiling lightning, like a Volt Tackle. Use a quick attack and move to the side, Clark said as the opponent charged forward with a powerful move. It would have been better if you could command with your mind, don't you think? Naruto mocked as his companion paused and used Volt Tackle, dragging Clark's partner and slamming into the wall. The impact was terrifying, and a tremendous amount of electricity was unleashed. Clark ignored the words because saying anything would be pointless at this moment. He was clearly at a disadvantage, but that didn't matter. There was no need to take this game seriously because it was simply a game. People appear to be having a good time. It was the first time they had watched a super battle without worry for their lives. Clark murmured, "I give up." He didn't want his companion to suffer. Ruby was about to finish the small beast with an iron tail since he was stunned. "I am glad you are so caring," Naruto said as he made both Pokemon vanish, and the crowd applauded. The energy was enticing. "This isn't over yet, I'll give you a chance to play," Naruto said, and Celebi appeared. The tiny charming Pokemon nodded to Naruto before flying through the crowd and landing near a small toddler. Celebi made a 13-year-old child fly, transporting him into the combat. People went crazy because the youngster was overjoyed. The Celebi hypnotized the youngster, but he chose Infernape as his partner, whereas Naruto used Houndoom. Clark stood by with his team as Emperor allowed a few lucky people to participate in Pokemon battles. While a part of him entertained the crowd, Naruto offered his hand to Kara. "Do you want to try?" Naruto inquired, appearing behind Kara. Unlike Clark, Kara slapped him on the back for doing something like that. Even before looking around, she recognized his voice. She went along with the attack to find out what she was up against. "Haha, I wasn't expecting that. So, what did you find?" Her hand slid through Naruto's clone body, which was formed of chakra. Chakra was connected to the universe via the Sage Mode, so how quickly she moved didn't matter. The Sage Mode's connection to the outside world made it impossible for him to be caught off guard unless that connection was broken or tampered with. Naruto would be unable to follow through physically, but the chakra would be able to move once he connected it to the senses. Even in his true form, Naruto was nearly impossible to hit in this manner. When he was in Sage Mode, his true form would automatically teleport. Otherwise, he would be apprehended. Naruto was only able to move around so confidently because of this skill. He had the ability to flee while yet acting big. Kara took a peek at the armored figure. She'd heard everything from the JL and even overheard the news chat. He seemed compassionate from the way he conducted himself, but he also felt like one of those individuals who took advantage of others. "You aren't a physical being, so what do you want?" Kara was typically nice these days, but she had nightmares that destroyed her mood on sometimes. She was depressed since it was one of those days. Naruto could sense it, and it seemed that the show did not help. I saw you looking lonely and sad, so I wanted to brighten your day and lighten your soul. You are a good girl who deserves happiness, not sadness. You may have lost loved ones, but you still have people who care about you, and your loved ones would want you to be happy. Drowning in sorrow is unhealthy and insulting to those individuals. Remember them with joy, not sadness. Keep your words to yourself. You can't understand mortals, Kara grumbled as she was faced with another sanctimonious jerk. When they haven't experienced anything, these folks don't get weary of lying. Is that what you think? Unfortunately, that is false. I know your heart's feelings very intimately. Remember, you are not the only one who has gone through such an ordeal. People on this planet have experienced worse, and I have felt everything that they have felt. Do you want to see what's worse? Naruto took a step forward and came face to face with Kara. He was 2.2 meters taller than she was. Kara scowled at him as he held the darkness in his left hand. Fine, but words don't make things better. The mind knows, but the heart doesn't follow, or is that too much for you to comprehend? Do you have a miracle cure for me, or are you just here to waste time? I have a miracle cure, but do you want it? You might find it too intrusive and misinterpret it. Mind manipulation or emotional control. Nothing like that, it's just an aura that boosts positivity, Naruto said as he released his aura, which he used when speaking to individuals he wished to help or influence. Supergirl was a difficult prey. He could assist her, but it would take time and consistent communication to build a good connection. She had a shaky connection to mankind and would only put her life on the line for a select few or if she felt obliged. Kara was being blasted by the aura, which she couldn't block. The Kryptonian body could significantly decrease physical injury, but it couldn't stop spiritual or magical attacks. Kara's body was immediately attacked, and she had no ability to cancel or block it. Regardless, she had no intention of quitting. Kara felt calm and at ease. It was the first time she had felt so at ease since waking up. It had been 2 years, yet the ache had not subsided. Even now, it was at the back of her thoughts. Naruto was happy as he watched Kara close her eyes and relax. He didn't go any further than normal because doing so would cause a slew of issues at the time. Kara might be able to resist him, and someone would misinterpret it as an attack. You have done well, Supergirl, and I am grateful for your service. This is a humble gift for you, and I hope it pleases you. Naruto delivered emerald earrings, simple in style but giving a serene sense. Sorry for acting up, and thank you for your help. I did what was necessary, nothing much, Kara said calmly. Take it. You need it. Pass it on to someone else when you feel it is unnecessary, if you so desire. Let us meet again on good terms, Supergirl. The offer is also open to you. With that, Naruto vanished, leaving Kara holding the earrings. Kara wasn't sure how she felt about the present. She did require it. She also appreciated receiving praise for her actions rather than receiving criticism. I should get it checked first, Kara said, looking down to the stadium, where Emperor was letting someone else battle while watching from the sidelines. Kara took flight and flew to the Titan's tower to meet Raven. Kara arrived at the Titan Tower in a matter of seconds due to her incredible speed. The Titans were given a small island shaped like a huge T by the mayor in exchange for their services. Titan's Island was in the East River, just off the coast of Manhattan Island. They were the city's official protectors and one of the world's most powerful hero teams. The tower was highly fortified with technology and magic. Cyborg, the original Teen Titan who had become a part of JL before returning to his allies when JL made mistakes with Raven, handled the technology. Raven, one of the strongest beings on the Earth and one of the best magicians in the universe, was in charge of the magical side. In contrast to Gotham, the city was mainly tranquil and had few troubles. It was the reason why the Titans mostly operated outside of the city. Kara was a fan of the Titans, and they had invited her to join them. Clark had also asked her to the JL, but she declined both invitations in order to remain alone. She wished to remain neutral in this game and think independently. Kara was still unsure of her life direction. The world wasn't only the Earth, and Kara was aware of this, thus her alternatives were numerous. She had planned to embark on a galactic journey to discover her way, but the conversation with Emperor made her pause. Kara flew inside the tower, thinking of Emperor, since she was granted permission to do so. Kara entered the Titan's living room and spotted Starfire watching TV. Starfire was a Tamaranian alien from the planet Tamaran. Coriander, which translates to Starfire, was her name in her native language. Cori was a lovely young lady with orange skin and long red hair. She was 2 meters tall and had emerald eyes. She was dressed in a purple shirt and purple shorts. It was her favorite color, and she bared a lot of skin since she liked skin contact, and it aided her powers, as she absorbed light. She was the second princess of her people, but she had been exiled and sold into slavery, where she had endured awful experiences of experimentation and torture of all types. Despite this, Cori was one of the world's most positive heroes, and she was an extremely gregarious person with a cheery demeanor. However, her relationship with Nightwing has not been going well lately. She had already been through political marriages and other earthly relationships before becoming associated with him. Cori knew Earth culture, but it was difficult for her to maintain control when emotions were involved, especially when they were not sexually compatible. "Good morning, Kara. This is a pleasant surprise. Come, take a seat, and let us catch up," Cori said, turning around with a big smile. She was a lively girl, but she was also a tough warrior who was never caught off guard. Cori sprang off the sofa and hugged Kara. Kara had grown accustomed to people getting intimate with her, and it made her feel warm. Being dragged to the couch where Cori was watching a fashion show, a show in which she had performed as a model. Starfire was breathtaking, not just gorgeous, but exceptional amid a sea of attractive heroes. "I apologize for the unexpected visit, but could I first meet with Raven?" Cori was more sensitive to emotions than Raven. It wasn't perfect, but it was enough for her to recognize Kara's state. She'd known Kara for 2 years and had even fought her several times. The girl was befuddled and besieged by grief and loneliness. Cori could understand those feelings, but she couldn't help the younger girl. "Of course, let's go meet our friend and get her help," Cori said as she flew towards Raven's chamber, smiling. The dark girl spent much of her time alone in her room. "Go back, and I will meet you outside," Raven said, and both females found themselves back in the living room. "Friend Raven is shy," Starfire remarked as she went into the kitchen to prepare some snacks and drinks. It was early morning, but that didn't matter because everyone, except the human members, was an early riser and didn't need much sleep. Raven whispered as she went out of a dark portal, "Star, I will turn you into a butterfly the next time you try to barge into my room." Raven was a lovely woman with pale, graphite skin, short black hair, and blue eyes. She was a halfling, human, and demon all rolled into one. Her superhero costume was largely comprised of navy, her favorite color. She frequently wore a hooded navy cloak, matching ruffled ankle boots with blackish-gray soles, and a long-sleeved navy leotard with cuffs around her wrists that matched her cloak. She had a circular crimson jewel set in a gold plate that held the whole thing together on her cloak. It covered her T-communicator and was set to beep, glow when there was problems. The jewel also had a raven head shape in it at times. Her legs were exposed, and she wore a red and gold belt with the same gems around her waist. The belt was wrapped behind the waist like a cable. She had a crimson jewel with a black outline placed on her forehead that she constantly wore. Raven is one of the most enigmatic heroes. She was silent, gloomy, sullen, grim, melancholy, emotionless on the surface, intellectual, studious, and sardonic. She could always come up with a clever quip, especially in response to the Teen Titans' pranks and attempts at humor. Raven was the team's strongest member, and no matter how aloof she appeared, she loved them more than anything else. The Titans provided light to her world and became her family when the world had abandoned her and the darkness seemed to be drowning her in its grip. She was linked to her father Trigon, a strong demon who desired to rule the universe. Trigon was able to corrupt Raven through the connection and wanted to utilize her, which is why she controlled her emotions. Dark and chaotic emotions both helped her father to further corrupt her and nurtured her demonic side. Regardless of her fate, Raven fought for her life and freedom with the help of her new family. The Justice League was suspicious of her because of Zatanna's comments about Raven being a demon and Batman's rational point of view. They determined that either banishing or sealing her was the better option. "I'll keep that in mind. Strawberry or guava?" Star grinned as she inquired about the kind of milkshake she preferred. "Apple tea, please, Kara." Raven rolled her eyes and turned to face her. Corey was just having fun with her as usual because she always drank tea in the morning. Kara took a seat opposite Raven, and from what she saw, she seemed to be doing alright. Thank you for your time. I just had an interesting encounter and wanted to double check. Kara extended her hand and displayed the earrings. Raven gazed at them and could feel their energy. She was an empath, thus the item spoke to her more than others. She could sense that the object held wonderful emotions and wishes for Kara. It expressed Naruto's feelings towards selfless and good individuals perfectly. It was heightened by the sense of nature. Raven, unlike Kara, was not overwhelmed by it, but she liked it as well. Who gave it to you? Raven inquired as she examined it. It wasn't horrible looking either, but it appeared to be the result of some sort of sorcery. The energy was combined with Gaia's presence and nature energy. The first choice would be divine energy, but it didn't appear to be the case. It was a brand new sensation for her. He gave it to me, Emperor of Mankind, and told me it would help me get through the pain. Do you know anything about him? We do, Nightwing said, his face solemn and broody. Here your apple tea and chocolate cupcakes, coffee and pastries for our guest. Corey replied as she landed beside Kara and placed items in front of them. He is too cautious, can't track him. His signature is mixed with Gia, meaning he is everywhere. From the interview, he didn't seem bad, but only time will tell. What about you, have you met him directly? Not bad. He appeared to be a kind person who genuinely cared. I sensed his concern and appreciation. Ooh. Did you fall in love? Corey, zip it, Raven said as she waved her finger, causing Star's mouth to close. There are no issues with the item. It is completely safe and does what it is supposed to do. However, it could be used as a locator. That won't matter if he has connections to Gia and is the will of humanity. Yes, it won't matter, so you can keep it. Kara turned to Raven and took one of the earrings, saying, keep the other one, I think you also need it. Raven smiled at the thoughtful gesture but accepted both of them. These were created for you, and I believe he will meet all of us at some point. I will speak with him about it personally. A seal was activated on Kara's body as the earrings left Raven's hand, and Naruto's illusion appeared in the room. I look forward to our meeting, Raven. Don't give up. Don't be afraid. Don't give up hope. Everyone may give up on you, but I will protect you. For now, accept this humble gift. Emerald bracelets wafted towards Raven when the words were done. It appears he likes you more, and he forgot my gift. Corey was curse-free and teased Raven while holding the gift. He has a way with words. I can see why people would follow him. He touches people's hearts and appears to understand what we want, Raven whispered slowly as she slipped on the bracelets. She could sense they were given additional power for her reason. Raven was obligated to return to her room and remedy the problem after discovering that he could use magic without her knowledge. Gaia's presence was interfering with her perceptions. I think he's real. I like his voice, and his emotions were really nice, Corey said, noting that Emperor wore his feelings on his sleeves and didn't lie like others. People on Earth were accustomed to concealing their feelings at all times. Corey appreciated people that were honest and upbeat. She didn't detest Raven because she was nice and understood what the other girl was going through. I have no problem with him. That is something for others to decide, Kara said as she slipped on the earrings after seeing Raven. What about his invitation? Star said, not having an issue with Emperor's way of doing things. Star didn't kill people because she was obeying hero norms. Otherwise, she would have massacred them all based on her background as a warrior princess. After a little pause, Kara responded, I might think about it. The gift is nice, but we might get into a fight, and JL will definitely get into a fight with him, so keep that in mind. Raven interrupted their positive idea and brought them back to reality. Thank you for the reminder and assistance. I understand JL, but why would you fight him? Kara inquired, knowing that Nightwing was receptive to such techniques. Corey was also inquisitive and sought to figure out what was causing the conflict. Remember what he said, and you will understand that he considers people who indulge in greed and corruption to be criminals. Nightwing might agree, but not everyone in the group is okay with his violent methods. Plus, he is too suspicious. I question his reason for delaying our meeting. He is just too good at talking. Maybe he is purely manipulative. Raven replied as she picked up a cupcake and ate it while sipping her tea. Corey collided with Raven, and luckily, Magic was present to preserve the tea. Don't be so negative, Raven. Manipulative doesn't mean bad. I didn't mean he was bad. I just wanted you to remember that he could be playing with you. His acts could have a variety of motivations and results, which appears to be Nightwing's conclusion regarding him. He isn't a bad person, but his actions result in the results he wants. I thought about it as well, but it seems too negative. We are all doing things for a desired outcome. He already announced his desired outcome, so his actions fit into that line. Giving us these gifts to build a bond with us and talking to us to further establish it. They had a purpose and they were genuine, or were they not? Kara spoke up, disagreeing with that line of thought. Raven appears to have had a negative experience with Batman, which she transferred onto others. It was genuine. There was no lie in his words or emotions, but that doesn't mean he won't use you for things you don't like. I didn't mean for you to hate him or anything. Just be cautious of him and analyze his words before acting on them. Kara agreed with a nod because she didn't want to argue about it any longer. Alright, break it up. Let's stop the serious talks and go out together. It's been over a month since we've seen each other. Corey preferred a happy setting over a depressed and serious one. After the recent struggles and incidents, she also wished to have some fun. Raven stood up and asked, "Will you join us?" It was an uncommon occurrence, as such petitions were rarely granted. She felt much better and acknowledged that it had been a while. After being cooped up inside, she needed some fresh air. Returning to the real Naruto, he visited the city with Conan, escorted by Roberta and Ralph Jones. George was a man with a wealthy upbringing and hands in the wrong places, thus he was frequently attacked. It was the reason he had so much protection. Naruto had never sat in a vehicle as advanced as the Rolls-Royce Phantom before. Some things in the ninja world were still quite backward since they were for lower-ranked beings, typical human beings. Ninjas were the smartest and most powerful, and they didn't require cars or other vehicles. There were guns in the ninja world, but they were ineffective and resembled weaponry from the 1990s. Ninja were wealthy and powerful, yet they were all minimalists with short lives. They were endurance and efficiency beings. Indulgence was poison to them, thus they avoided things that could cause future harm. It wasn't always true, but it was the standard. Because normal people had poor potential, they did not learn the ninja way. Chakra was energy created from the user's life force and spirit. It wasn't something that just happened, and it had to be learned carefully because mistakes could lead to death. Chakra was not always present in the system. The user had to generate it manually or utilize seals that could do so automatically. One of the fundamental skills taught in the academy was how to develop it on the fly. Because most ninja assume their opponents to have chakra, walking without it was the easiest way to blind them. That was for novices and low-level ninja. Ninja used all of their senses, and the greatest sensors could use their chakra like sonar. The very best could sense the vital force and soul. When the chakra was off, it was difficult to determine the person's level. However, hiding anything with the soul and life force was nearly difficult unless anti-detection skills were used. Regardless, the normal and low-ranking ninja were gradually raising the tech level while attempting to appease the higher-ups. They had finally won after endless generations when the flying machines and train were created. It aided low-ranking ninjas in conserving energy, especially once Konoha opted to invest in it. When Naruto was named Emperor of the Future, all of the significant people joined the committee to develop goals and a vision. After years of discussions, it was determined that things needed to change and that their way of life was hazardous and unnecessary. Tsunade was brought back to reform the medical system, while the clan leaders were utilized to reform the educational system. Chakra had always been the property of the powerful. Knowledge of it was not shared with the general populace because it made things difficult to govern. However, in the new period, it became the standard. Chakra was made available to the public because leaders recognized that giving people power would accelerate innovation in all disciplines. People didn't need to become traditional warriors or healers because chakra could accomplish so much more. With that in mind, the world began to alter for the better and for the worst. Crime rates rose as knowledge spread, and ninjas profited handsomely from the chance. There were several ninja villages in the Land of Fire, not just Konoha. Those other forces, as usual, took advantage of people's needs. When the forces of good made a move, evil was always close behind. There were many bothersome organizations since there was no great central force and the nations were at odds. Warfare used to be fought on large scales, but in the modern era, little skirmishes may be found everywhere. It might potentially occur in cities, resulting in catastrophic casualties. To the people of Earth, the ninja world may appear to be a nightmare. That, however, would be a mistake. The ninja world had become a nightmare, and it was about to come to an end with Naruto's ascension. In the ninja world, Naruto had only one problem, whereas Earth had numerous ones. Naruto's thoughts began to ponder things he hadn't considered after witnessing the demon and alien troubles. Do you think our world also has aliens or demons? I saw the statue of the sage, he had horns. Maybe chakra was given to us by an alien species, Naruto remarked, turning to face Conan, who sat to his right. I don't know. Does it really matter? Conan replied neutrally, indicating disinterest in the subject. How unfortunate, you act like such a dull person. Naruto shook his head as his palm extended and touched her cheek. You should always question things, or your mind will stagnate. As long as you are alive, it is our duty to learn and advance. A dull mind causes collapse, so do you want to be part of the ignorant majority, my hapless partner? Naruto drew her in closer, his finger caressing her lips and his blue eyes looking into his partner's purple orbs. Naruto loathed ignorance in general, and willing ignorance was the worst. When the bulk of people lost their critical thinking skills, society crumbled, and the intellectuals died out. Teaching was a career for the upper crust of society, not the lower crust. It just accelerates the devastation of the future when it becomes something taken up by people from the lower circle. It was such a simple concept, but many had become oblivious to it. It was a major issue in the modern world, and it was also a problem in the ninja world. Clans taught their youngsters directly, therefore they were unconcerned about the academy. As a result, persons without financial support received a low-level education. It bred a weak majority while suffocating curiosity, creativity, and genius. It was something that young Naruto had brought to the table in Konoha. He was not a student at the academy and was educated alongside clan heirs, as well as receiving special training from high-ranking officials. It occurred to him while playing in the park with friends and meeting Sakura for the first time. Tenten and Rock Lee were introduced to him through her. All three were exceptional, but the academy wasn't taking use of their abilities and taught them the same things as everyone else. Most of the time, the system did not cater to extraordinary people and ended up destroying the children's talents throughout those years. I am a warrior, and I am not interested in such things. But, you are not. Did you not act as a regent? Did you not fight for what is right? Your ignorance led to your actions and collapse, my dear friend. Will you not understand such basic logic? But, you are not. Did you not act as a regent? Did you not fight for what is right? Your ignorance led to your actions and collapse, my dear friend. Will you not understand such basic logic? Naruto smiled and let her go while giving her a dose of his aura. Conan had lost everything and had yet to fully recover. She wanted to scream at Naruto for acting as if he understood everything and disregarding her family's sacrifice and grief. What do you actually understand? You were born privileged. Unlike you, we didn't have a powerful force or intelligence at our disposal. We lived on the edge of life and death, barely surviving and eating the minimal necessities. We may have been incorrect, but the world twisted our lives, and don't forget that it was all Konoha's fault. You destroyed our lives. Don't you dare bring up our stupidity again? Conan's impassive facade cracked as he grabbed him by the collar and verbally abused him. Her words were tinged with anguish, and tears streamed down her cheeks. Naruto didn't laugh or slap her for what she did. He pushed her into his lap and embraced her to keep her from becoming physical. It would have been simple to stop there and apologize, but that would have been incorrect. It meant he was allowing others' delusions to persist. Unfortunately, you were mistaken. The big nations fighting did destroy your way of life and cause you despair, but once you became powerful, that was no longer the reason. Your victimhood ended when you became a powerful force, Conan. You all went through horrible things, but in exchange, you caused harsh happenings for others in similar situations. You let your animosity lead you astray, which is what I meant by ignorance. Your group was ignorant of the ways of governance and reality, and that was your choice. You might have learned these things instead of fighting all the time. You were powerful enough to assist the regions surrounding you, and none of the nations would have interfered. Our planet is vast, but the 5 nations were only focused on one region, and you could have easily stretched your hand elsewhere and built your troops to deliver rescue. But you didn't because you were blinded by hatred and anguish, your intellect was clogged, your eyes were closed, and your ears were deaf to the pain you caused. You have no excuse for your conduct, Conan. You were wrong, and that is a reality. Others have gone through similar circumstances and become heroes. You could have been one of them. Just as you are here to remind me of my flaws, I will not let you forget yours. Never explain your bad decisions with your pain. That is a dangerous path that leads to damnation. I know it's difficult, but focus on what you're doing now. Righting past wrongs and following your dreams. You're still alive and can change your group's legacy. Do you really want to be remembered as the villains? Do you want to be cursed by future generations? Tell me. Conan, Naruto demanded, his voice forceful and demanding. She tried to fight his strength, but it was fruitless, his grip was too powerful. All she could do was listen to him rant, his words tearing down her defenses and bringing her misery. She tried to yell and block him out, but the voice wouldn't come out. Naruto's chakra acted like a parasite, blocking everything unfavorable. She couldn't shake his words from her thoughts and spirit. His voice caused her to reflect on and judge her history. We just wanted to live in peace, Conan sobbed as he said. Naruto turned around and hugged her, offering her support. She eventually punched him in the face and took her seat. She cried quietly, but her expression was clear. You're a nasty fuck. That wasn't the first time Naruto had seen that expression. Some people admired him, while others despised or dreaded him. Truth wasn't always pleasant. It may be unpleasant and nasty. Forcing others to hear and recognize the truth caused them to believe that he was obsessed with being right. Naruto, on the other hand, couldn't deny it. He despised being incorrect. Conan's situation was exacerbated by the fact that she was a criminal, therefore Naruto had little sympathy for her. It was the reason for his harshness. Naruto chuckled as he wiped her tears away and looked outdoors. You're finally starting a new life, Conan. Cry your heart out. I really hope you die in a ditch. I know that's false. Conan shouted into her hands, resisting the urge to blow him up. Naruto gave her the respect of avoiding his hysterical laughing because she was related to him. He was a sadist who enjoyed inflicting misery on those who defied his rules. It was a defensive strategy to ensure that he would not quit torturing sinners. Naruto visited schools in Gotham's underprivileged areas after leaving Conan to recover. There were numerous issues in society, one of which was education, and there were other concerns within education. The quality of schools in the United States varied according to their location. The wealthy community received good schools with high-quality instruction and a larger budget, whereas the poor neighborhood received low-quality schools with a limited budget. The system appeared to want to maintain the status quo and purposefully worked against persons on the lower scale. Giving them less resources ensured that the vast majority of them would never rise above their existing level. Schools in disadvantaged areas, where residents paid less tax, had fewer budget allocations, which meant they lacked adequate facilities and resources. Having such a system also resulted in the appearance of irresponsible teachers. This type of problem existed in the majority of countries, but the wealthier countries had no excuse for it. Developing or undeveloped countries lacked the financial resources to support such a system, whereas nations like the United States could easily do so. Children were the nation's future. When a country wanted to keep growing, it invested in education for future generations and made it easier for them on all levels. However, in today's society, it has evolved into a money-making machine. The education system charged exorbitant fees and did not even guarantee that the student would get a job or be well catered for. Having a degree meant nothing because it could wind up being nothing more than a piece of paper unless the student worked hard for it. The teachers in most of these institutes did nothing more than give lectures. When pupils inform them that they have all understood, anyone with elementary logic knows it is nonsense. Teachers were once pupils, therefore they understand the tactics. Many pupils are juvenile until they are confronted with reality. They waste their time in school and college, not learning much. The education system, parents, and students are all to blame for the situation. Parents regard education as the caretaker who will provide their children with all they require, which is completely incorrect and detrimental. Because the pupils were not present at school all day, part of the learning process is the duty of the parents. The educational system should be aware of this and incorporate parents and society in its plans. For a decent education, suitable actions must be taken to cease stifling curiosity and invention in the cradle. Students were molded by their experiences, and if they did not challenge anything during their academic lives, it was difficult for them to alter as adults. Habits were difficult to overcome, and the majority of them will end up as system servants. Innovators were not the consequence of any educational system. Rather, such children exploited the system's resources to choose their route, or a suitable teacher appeared in their lives. The system should stimulate curiosity and innovation from an early age. This would revolutionize the planet. It was easy to say such things, but Naruto recognized the difficulty of putting them into practice. The cost would rise, and the manpower required would require professional training and screening. Teaching was a wonderful profession, and the world should begin to recognize it. Teachers were once seen as noble figures, in contrast to now. In certain countries, teaching was reserved for individuals who could do nothing else with their degrees. Teaching has degraded to such low levels of disrespect. It was much easier to simply go with the flow, and as a result, the globe scarcely progressed from its starting place in terms of education. The system understood, but it didn't care because it only invested when it needed pawns and ignored the rest. It wasn't only government-owned institutions, it also included private ones. The private ones charged exorbitant fees, yet the services provided did not match the price. They were aware that they could improve, but they saw no incentive to. If their parents and society have permitted them to continue prospering with no work, why should they object to such a simple world? Naruto understood this because it was part of his empire-building studies. He couldn't repair that problem right now, but he was going to start his other plan. He was going to enter politics, and he was going to conduct good acts under the guise of George. Naruto went to the schools and spoke with the teachers and children. He even took several senior seminars where he talked about living with children. After finishing that, Naruto made donations to the schools after meeting with the principals. Before leaving, he made certain that the teachers and management were in good shape. While his original body was visiting schools around the city, Naruto's clone finished the Pokemon game and vanished. Another clone was activated and went to one of the major pharmaceutical corporations. These enterprises, along with other large corporations, were huge parasites in the United States. Business was booming. Profit was satisfactory. Capitalism was a good economic system. Unfortunately, anything a human touches turns to dust. Ideas were wonderful on paper, but the human component constantly modifies the outcome. People's greed was infinite, and unfortunately, only the greediest rose to the highest ranks. Companies would compete in a perfect system, and supply and demand would govern. But it was all a dream. That was not how reality worked. People at the top band together to eliminate everyone else and gain control of the market. It was the unfortunate truth in the pharmaceutical industry. When patents expired, the corporations kept them and only minimally modified them. They seldom innovated but spread propaganda that said innovation was impossible without money. People seemed to believe the lies when many items appeared out of necessity. The people who invented insulin sold the rights for free, but these firms sold it for a fortune when the cost was negligible. In their minds, money was more important than life, and as a result, people died in droves, and many more were forced into debt due to medical expenses. These businesses had done more to impede innovation than to foster it. They charged exorbitant rates for their products, citing research expenditures, even though the government ultimately funded the research. The cost of manufacturing the medicine does not change and is usually minimal in comparison to its final cost. The prices charged to customers were the result of corporate greed, as management wages and bonuses continue to rise, resulting in increased costs. The treatment didn't change, but the pricing did, and it was easy to discover why by following the trail. It was awful, yet everything happened for financial advantage. It could happen quickly or gradually over time. Pharma corporations have even gone so far as to assist with the creation of diseases or mutations in order to sell more medicines. These corporations exploited marketing to deceive individuals into purchasing medicines they didn't need. The government was aware of such acts, but didn't care because they were all good buddies. Businesses may legally support politicians, and the eventual result would only surprise the mentally handicapped. Nobody gave millions for no reason because they knew they'd get anything in return. On some level, this was also true in the ninja world, although ultimate control was in the hands of the shinobi. Focusing on these was vital since firms needed to hire people and cover all of their bases. Naruto made no fuss and met with the CEO, torturing him for his crimes before mending him up. I obtained the list of board members and met with them to show them the way. It was Naruto's first time taking and without complete control. Naruto, like the others, was watching the outcome. He was, nonetheless, absolutely sure in every step. As a result, one of the world's top pharmaceutical companies gained morality and became more humanitarian. As Naruto corrected their heads, it resulted in decreased prices and greater research. If you act like AB*TCH, you will die like AB*TCH. Even though he wanted to see a conflict with major corporations, Naruto didn't stop there and mended the remainder. It was a waste of resources and time, so he got them back on track to repair problems rather than swimming in an infinite amount of dirty cash. Profit was good, but when it caused human misery, it was bad and should be investigated. The issue of growing administration expenses resulting to greater product costs was also a problem in hospitals.
Health should be a human right. No one should have to worry about dying on the road and receiving no treatment because he couldn't afford the medicine.
Such a society was cursed and merciless, and it contradicted the very reason humans came together. A human being required certain things in order to live, and a proper system should meet those requirements in an effective manner. Beyond that, it was up to the people to decide what they wanted. However, it appears that corporations were keen on redefining what constituted a human right, and it would not be surprising to hear air becoming a product, given that some firms do not regard clean drinking water to be a human right. Nonetheless, Naruto would not force them to treat patients for free because the expenditures had to be compensated in some way. For the time being, the government would not cover them. Most of it was already inefficient and senseless to Naruto, but he had no choice but to go along for the time being. Once everything was in order, the bulk of minor ailments would vanish from the earth. For the time being, Naruto only required the hospitals to drop their charges to a reasonable level. After a pleasant conversation with management, the process was simple.
People were moved by his compassionate comments and swiftly got to work making the world a better place.
The pharmaceutical industry, other medical equipment providers, and hospitals were all included, resulting in a significant shift. With Naruto's comments, none of them dared to pause or postpone anything. Everything was completed as soon as possible. After that, Naruto's clone exploded, releasing an energy wave that quickly blanketed the entire city. It cleaned up the pollutants and brightened people's hearts, relieving them from a variety of physical and emotional diseases. Unfortunately, Naruto was not an adept at curing physical diseases, but his energy provided the people with increased immunity to combat the problem. Moon Maiden's adversary was in full force when Naruto was coping with his issues. The centurion was a big man with a buff body and a sharp mind. For millennia, he had fought to conquer the globe, but all of his plans had failed. Even the device Darkseid had given him was gone. It appears that the technology had limitations on what it could wipe, so strong beings on his level could return at some point. When he returned, he was furious and wished to engage in terrible violence. But the logical side of his brain intervened and stopped him in time. Centurion gathered data and analyzed the changes by using his skills to control souls and make them his slaves. Things had gotten worse for him, and he had spent some time thinking about how to succeed. Centurion decided to collaborate with others for the first time in his life.
He established touch with the light, who assigned him a task to perform before he could join.
It enraged him, but he persevered and went about gathering souls to serve him. This time, he decided to gather powerful souls rather than spending energy merging souls to create a powerful monstrosity.
Many great beings had died on the globe. All he needed to do was locate their bodies and summon the spirit into servitude.
With that in mind, he tracked out Aben Sur, Giovanni Zatara, Zatanna's father, Ace Masterson, Angelica Smith, and Angan, the Green Lantern. Along with this, he discovered powerful evil spirits hiding in the human world. Kayako, also known as the Grudge, had escaped from Japan and was hiding in one of the ghost towns following a war. Sadako, the ghost who gave birth 7 days after watching a film, was also tracked down and apprehended once he received information about her from the light. Elessa from Silent Hill and Enma from Japan were two additional formidable ghosts. He was given data to help him expand his powers because he needed everything he could obtain. His mission was to assassinate Batman and Aquaman. The JL would lose its tactician if Batman died, while Aquaman's demise would increase the likelihood that Atlantis would fight the surface world. Ignoring the ghost in Japan, Centurion flew his army of souls towards Silent Hill. Wait, Moon Maiden, your life will be a horrible misery. That is a vow I aim to keep with the utmost seriousness. To be continued.
That's it for this podcast. Thanks for listening to this video. I hope you did enjoy this bit of the story, and if you did, like, share, and subscribe for more. And thank you all for your support, and have a great day.